Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
Did
you go to Rotten Tomatoes too?
The RT went down.
Way down.
I
We'll
don't
get
know.
into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's got an 81% audience score.
That's surprising to me based on literally everything
I've seen. Yeah.
Twitter is Twitter's always been a cesspool.
It is no longer
it
anything.
Is a shell.
Yeah, it's awful.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching the Teen Wolf Movie, in which this is... This is So I'm Watching This Show, where we talk about movies, TV, music,
I was going to let you
more.
have that one, too.
And this is a spoiler show, so you've been warned.
Yeah.
On today's episode, we're talking about the Teen Wolf movie.
I'm still the alpha!
Tell me, what sound does a wolf make when it's going to die?
I had a good time, and, I decided. So if you want to watch the movie with us, you can head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/SoI'mWatchingTheShow and join our Watchers tier. It's a $3 Watchers tier where you can watch with us. And we're starting to post things over there more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
We're posting full-length reactions to Drag Race and Teen Wolf seasons 2 and on. We are currently in season 2.
With Rachel.
Wolfpack we will be covering, and we have the Teen Wolf movie there.
Yep.
And we had a good time. There was lots of screaming and laughing and a little bit of cringing, and that is precisely what you want from...
I would not even say cringing. There were some things that I feel logically and logistically are up for debate.
Sure. I decided going into this that I had already liked it. So it would have had to have been
so bad.
Like a deep fried turkey for me to not like it. And
deep
according
fried turkey
to
is amazing.
well, according to most people, that's what it is.
I disagree.
And okay. There's this theory that Teen Wolf is a good show. Which it is.
Okay.
But even when it's at its best, it's still ridiculous.
It's silly.
Having just watched The Holy Grail, season 3A and 3B, you spend a lot of time in those seasons with plot that is intentionally vague and or misdirecting for the purposes of keeping things going.
There also gets to be a point for me where, like, everything is potentially a dream sequence or didn't really happen. And for me, the show is like this. It reaches such a zenith in season 3, and then it just like really crouches all the way back down.
My point is that 3A and 3B absolutely is fantastic. And you when you're watching it, you're like, this is incredible. But I think it's this weird synergy. It's this weird element of the time that the show was airing. The cultural consciousness, the actors coming into, like, finally coming into their, I'm not going to say prime, but, like, like, season 1 and season 3 is, like, night and day for, like, Tyler Posey, especially. But,
he gets way better,
But when you go back over it with a microscope, the writing is medium. Like, and especially in 3A, with the fucking fireflies, and is Erica dead or alive? And like they keep you
Erica really is like Schrodinger's werewolf for a while.
No, it really is. And then even the stuff with the Oni, like there's a lot of intentionally confusing and misdirecty things that we sort of ignore or hand wave because we're enjoying the tour de force performance from Dylan O'Brien, and we're enjoying watching these elements really sort of crescendo. All that being said, I think people have rose-colored glasses. I'm fine with that. I like that. I prefer that. But when people go to watch the movie and say, this is poorly written, I'm like, it's all...
it's none of it.
Mediumly written.
None of this is, like, spectacular.
And so, with this movie, there's so much happening because there's there's the politics behind the scenes with MGM and MTV and Paramount and trying to capitalize on existing IP, which is an issue the show dealt with and all that. You're bringing people back. You're trying. There's an element of fan service. There's a hell of a lot of retconning.
Yeah.
There's the whole like, is this for new people? Is this for returning fans? And frankly, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the show, and even I kind of am like, what happened? Who's this? And so when you look at all of that, I think its mere existence is the fact that it exists is easily 50% of the battle.
Sure. It's a lot like other reboots that we've had relatively recently, like the Veronica Mars, like the movie and the
Will and
season
Grace
4
TV show.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like a lot of things, and I think that there's not anything necessarily wrong with it, but what I'm getting tired of is people saying, well, this is just fan service. And it's like, do you mean the thing the fans have been clamoring for a decade?
There was a list of boxes I want checked, and it checked a lot of those boxes.
It did.
And that's the second thing that I want to say going into this is like Teen Wolf is a sprawling, unwieldy master of a show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and trying to bring everybody back and then do those people service is, I mean, it's a quagmire.
Yeah.
It just sort of...
Even if they had been able to do an actual season 7, I think it would have been hard. And like, especially because, so spoiler alert, Dylan O'Brien is not in this.
No.
They mentioned Styles a handful of times. And actually, I do want to get to that because I kind of liked it. But what I found interesting about the statement he released about why he wasn't coming is that he was like, it came together too fast. And like, he just simply didn't have time. And he also then said he liked the way that Styles' story ended and everything, which is totally fine. I'm super down with all of that. But I do think there was an element of like, this is happening right now. And if you can't get on board, you're not on board. And a couple people had to be like, I can't.
And ultimately, I that's something that I really appreciated was that the show was like, here's the pieces that we have and we're going to focus on them.
Yeah.
Because honest to God, I didn't, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I didn't miss Styles.
No. I think Eli actually filled that slot well enough.
Well, I mean, Dylan O'Brien is once in a generation talent, and he is easily the heart, the backbone of the show. I think Posey's the heart of the show. But
it's like Holland, Roden, and Dylan O'Brien are like the acting chops.
Sure.
Certainly early on.
Uh-huh. But Styles just wasn't in this story, and as such, I just didn't quite miss him. And there's a thought that they could do 2 more. I know Jeff Davis said that he had a plan for 2 more, and so I would really hope that he would show up if they were to do 2 more. I don't know what that would look like. Because I think we're also getting into like a fandom thing. Because they're, like you said with Dylan saying that, it just came together too fast and he couldn't make it. People are reading a lot into why he's not there.
Yeah.
And I know that there was politics behind the scenes with Argent Cho's return. And she claimed that it was about pay and equity. Mm-hmm. And I am typically very forgiving of a production. I have worked on a few. I went to school for this. I know how gargantuan it can be. And a lot of times there's just a way things work.
Yeah.
And we're not there, so we don't actually know what the situation is. Optics aren't always
100% correct.
Yeah. And so for me, she chose not to come. She doesn't regret that. And I think that's fantastic. I hope I love her. I think she's doing great. Like, I don't need, it's not gossip or drama that I'm putting on.
Sure.
There just was a lot of like, I don't know.
There was like too much going on behind the scenes, because also I don't remember which one is whichever Carver twin is not in it either. And I mean, he could have been, he is also mentioned by name because Jackson is like, he's going to be pissed if he finds out I'm here.
Is what it's giving me is when there are like, there's only 5 best supporting actress nominees. And you get a million think pieces about the 17 people who were snubbed. And I was like, you got 5. We can only focus on these 5 things. And I
think we should have a little less focus on Frances McDormand for the near future, if it's possible.
It was Frances McDormand. Tyler Hoechlin.
No. Okay. I don't have a 1-to-1 for Teen Wolf. That's my own personal soapbox.
And I really liked where they were. I like the notion that this is 15 years in the future
Mhm.
and that life just sort of fell back, regression to the mean. And that things just kind of were normal for a
Yeah.
while.
Long enough that everybody stopped carrying silver bullets.
I truly, truly think that Scott's arc was perfect, was
Mhm.
brilliant. That he would have moved to LA with Deaton
Yeah.
and just been like
Oh, that.
a specialty animal wrangler like vet. I think that I like that he that he was just sort of sad and lonely, but not in like a droopy dog sort
No,
of
not
way.
in like a depressing way. Just like
Melancholy, wistful, one might say.
What? I will say, I think the thing they retconned that I liked the least about the movie is that he literally just never got over Allison. Like, I don't know. They were already broken up for like a year when she died.
I hear you, but it just checks.
It checks. It's fine. I'm not like actually mad about it. It just is like that's the most unrealistic thing for me about
They were
the movie.
so Scott and Al, because again, I'm rewatching and editing
Yeah.
seasons 1 through 3 right now. They were so nauseatingly
Adorable. just the absolute schmoopiest.
in Romeo and Juliet in love.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very sweet. I'm not arguing against their relationship or that I wouldn't have had that big of an impact or whatever, but it's also like, I made a comment when we were talking about it with my husband a little bit, and I was like, I mean, thank God Arden Cho didn't come back. Could you imagine all Malia and Kira, all of Scott's ex-girlfriends, just listening to him weep about how he's never loved anyone besides Allison his whole life? It's been 15 years.
and that's the thing where it's like the story is patentedly silly.
It's fine.
Which, as I opened this conversation with, all Teen Wolf kind of is.
Yeah.
I really liked the not the I don't want to be like, I don't want to say vibes, but it's like the moments where characters were sort of together, the tone.
Yeah.
Like that first scene with
You can
Scott and
say
Lydia. I just think it's overused. But that first scene with Scott and Lydia at like Oak Creek, it that felt like I felt that. It felt right.
Yes, what I like, I will say vibes, because what I liked about it is that it felt like people who have a deep bond, have maybe sort of lost a little bit of touch with each other. Not very much, because it's clear
and not
that
deliberately necessarily.
Yeah, but it's clear that they all still speak to each other. But it's like, it's that thing that I love so much, and we talk about it a lot, specifically with Gossip Girl, the end of season 1 of Gossip Girl. It is just a group of people who have a deep shared bond, and most of it is through trauma, who no matter what is going on in the rest of their lives, if one of them calls, they are there in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that kind of relationship, because it's not even like got a spotlight shown on it. Because you're right, that scene where they're getting the dirt from underneath Oak Creek, and it's just Scott and Lydia, who have always had amazing chemistry, and like always it's been such a fun relationship to watch. It just feels so lived in. And like they're both sad because of where they are, and like presumably neither of them have been back there since then. Why would they? But they also have like a deep connection, and they're taking like solace from each other. I thought it was lovely.
I also liked the ways in which you could tell they had grown, but also the ways in which they were the same.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of love that as smart and strong as savvy as Lydia is, that she still is kind of like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And she, like, what, I can't think of the word I wanted, but she sort of ignores
everything else.
Yeah. And that she's just kind of like, I am a business lady working on my business.
business.
And that she's just sort of like, and I'm just going to ignore all of that. Like,
yeah. And I think it's perhaps short-sighted of all of these people to have stopped practicing their gifts, but that is my issue. But it does check. If you go long enough without anything happening, you're gonna get lax.
And think about like the youth metaphor that is always trotted in with these kind of supernatural teen shows, where it's like, think about your talents or like hobbies or joys that you had when you're younger, and you just fall out of practice, and it turns into this thing that you're even afraid to look back on or get back out.
I can no longer walk on stilts. And in fact, I am terrified.
I mean, can you play the flute? Like,
No,
Yeah.
actually, I lost that completely. I have 2 flutes because I thought I might take it up again, and I like couldn't remember even how to finger any of the notes.
And I used to draw all the time, and now I just I still do on occasion, and
Yeah.
I believe that one day I'll start doing it again, but it ain't today. Tomorrow's not looking good either. So I don't know. I just really appreciated the life goes on
Yeah.
vibe that the whole movie had.
Do you know what I liked actually, like almost the most is it was more than one character, but specifically Jackson and Peter. I love that the time jump allowed them to be their bitchiest selves. Jackson is a different person, but in a way that feels so realistic for who he was in high school.
Well, it feels like he's unlocked.
He finally became himself. He was such a bitch.
The whole
and
the thing is like I part of me I had the desire to want the in between filled in.
Yeah.
But considering that the movie's really being
Mhm.
clobbered over the head for poor writing, I think it would have been poor writing to have them explaining to each other
everything they've done,
what
yeah.
the interim has had.
I
So
do-
I kind of it's like when you spend time with an old friend and you're like,
Yeah.
it's like no time had
No time has
passed.
passed. I do love that he seems to have maintained a 15-year relationship with Ethan. They're just fucking vibing in London.
I just liked his kind of I kind of wish he was a little bit swishier.
A very little bit, yeah.
Because I liked his high-waisted
And he was wearing like a blouse with like a necktie.
Yeah.
It was
he almost was like a 40s gangster.
well, because he had like a longer jacket over
Mhm.
top of it. It was very good. All the Jackson and Peter were like so perfect to me in the it's just I love it.
I really, really liked Parrish and Mason and
Mhm.
Liam. I think Liam probably got
He got short shrift for sure.
the shortest
Yeah.
end. And it's gonna happen, and I think Dylan's game, and again, if they do this again, I'm sure he'll have
More
something later. But I have such a soft spot for Parrish, and I don't really know where it came from.
Yeah. I I like him quite a lot as well. I think he's so cute, and he was really kind of like a breath of fresh air in the show when he first arrived, and he vibes really good with Lydia.
Well, because I mentioned I was like, he's a soldier and
Yeah,
a cop,
and a cop,
he
yeah.
doesn't have an attitude.
No,
he doesn't have a chip on his
he's
shoulder.
fantastic. My biggest issue is that like Malia is really running through the dudes in this group.
But I think that
It checks with her coyote thing. Although that too, I was like, she made some sort of offhand comment that was like back to the high school stuff where she's just like sort of stupid because she was a wolf or a coyote for so long. And I was like, it's been 15 years though. You should have learned something else. You can't be right back where you were in high school.
I like that she wanted to miss Lydia.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like her emotional immaturity makes the most sense to me because she is still essentially feral. And she seems to just run around as a coyote still like a lot of the time because she's comfortable that way. But it's like, I think she should be a little more worldly. And there was, I don't remember what the line was.
No,
but I was like, Malia, please.
I really appreciated the TVMA of it all. And I don't think that I think it aided the show. I don't think it distracted from it because I know that's something you're very sensitive to.
I can be.
If they're like, well, get your fox ready because we can.
I had that issue a little bit with Wolfpack because especially the girl in Wolfpack, it was like 5 fucks in like a 10-sentence conversation, and I was like, that's too much. We need to like find a middle ground. But I think it worked really well for the movie. I just
love that the first one we got was from Chris. That just felt right, and they were peppered in,
especially because he was being so Canadian.
He was out of practice.
He was way out of practice.
Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, Toronto. He's from Toronto. Yeah, he was being just so Canadian. But I liked him.
We thought Deaton looked so good.
I mean, everybody looked good.
Uh-huh.
Everybody looked really good. I like a few more years on Holland Roden. I love her face.
I think she came out the strongest.
Yeah. I think her and Posey both.
Oh no, absolutely. Actually, one of the more positive reviews said that it's like 2 career best or 2 great performances from Roden and Posey, and it was like, which is unfortunate that they're missing their best scene partner with O'Brien.
Yeah.
But I liked Eli.
He was really cute. Vince Mattis is his name. He's very cute.
I took to it. I liked Dad Derek.
I'm also liking this new trend because one of the boys on Wolfpack also, their faces are like this. His face like goes out at the top. It's like wider at the top than it is at the bottom. I don't know. It's very cute.
Sure.
I like it. Look at his little face. He's cute.
The more that I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I'm convincing myself that I just kind of loved it.
I just liked it. I thought it was great. And it was
too long.
It was definitely too long.
And I mean, I don't think I wish it was shorter, but there were 2 separate parts where I started to drift and was like, oh, right, I'm watching Teen Wolf.
I think it could have been 20 minutes shorter, and I think every single one of those 20 minutes could have come out of Allison being a vigilante. I hated it in season 2. I hated it in this.
Oh, it didn't bother me. I liked.
It's not not my flavor of Allison.
What I didn't need was the 3 colored cubes.
That could have gone as well.
Where I was like, oh, we're just still doing this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really like, because at first I thought Eli just wasn't, like, just didn't become a werewolf. But then you find out that he's, like, scared or like shy.
Although, okay, the reveal of it is very like the reveal when you find out why Scott's dad left, and he's just like, I fell down the stairs like that, and so Derek is like, he's scared of me because he saw me shift when he was a baby or whatever, and it's like created some terrifying core memory, and I'm just like.
But also, again, those are the moments where that's patented Teen Wolf.
Of course,
where
yes,
I'm like, do you wish
yeah.
that? Like, Teen Wolf, it gives with 2 hands and then takes with 1.
Yeah.
And so it's like that sort of thing. But no, I liked Allison. I was glad to have her back. There was certainly a little trepidation, I think, coming from Crystal. And it was in the 3rd act where she had a handful of stuff where I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
That is Allison.
Yeah.
For me, the movie was almost like undoing a mistake.
With her death. Yeah.
And it's like,
she wanted to leave.
And it's like, and that's why I was like, I don't necessarily think that was a mistake because I love that plot line. Yeah. And that's a fascinating and bold and brave thing for a show to do, even if it doesn't fully pay off or work. But I mean, people die.
People do die. The thing for me that I think to do with that storyline that I think the movie didn't really biff it, but like the absolutely horrific implications of her being trapped in limbo for 15 years.
I more perceived it as sort of like just not existing. Like, I don't think she was just sitting in a blank space for 15 full years twiddling her thumbs.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think it was sort of like a nebulous.
Yeah.
But I cannot believe that we got Victoria Argent
Oh my
back.
God. Edie Mays.
I love Victoria Argent. Even still, it's like Frigga in Endgame, where it's like, beggars can't be choosers. I can't be mad because the fact that I'm getting this is already so far beyond.
Yeah.
I will say that my issue with Victoria Argent and every appearance she's had since her death is I find it's not offensive, but I can't believe that you make such a fully formed, crazy character, like an insane character, and kill her off, which again, that happens. I kind of like that. I like what it does, the stakes that it raises, but I'm just sort of like, it reduces her memory to Allison's mom in a way where I'm like,
I see what you mean.
That woman was a warrior.
Yeah.
Like a war queen.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I want Lady Stoneheart.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
we certainly didn't get it from Game of Thrones.
No, but I've said the whole time I thought she should have been the she-wolf and the benefactor because we saw her eyes change. So she was a werewolf. She could technically heal from that. And I just, again, considering how insanely conceived and portrayed brilliantly by Edie Mays, she was, I feel robbed of werewolf Victoria. Like, what would she possibly be like?
100%.
So it's like, on the one hand, it's like, I'm grateful for what we got. And again, Edie really brought it. She had crazy eyes.
She did.
But I mean, this is a woman who stabbed herself in the arm
Slice. She fucking
to interrogate the mother
of her daughter's boyfriend.
and then peacocks, like forgoes anesthesia to just stare daggers. And like, that's a character choice that I need more.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I love that ultimately Lydia is what brought Allison back.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also that Jackson was the one who had to like hype Lydia up to do it. Those three characters together were always really interesting, and then her stuff with Scott obviously too, but I think that like Lydia was not trusting in herself about it, and Jackson was like, Lydia, she's your best friend. You're the one that's going to be able to.
I'm so glad.
And that they were so far away from each other, just like when Allison died and she screamed for her.
I'm so glad that we got to this point because I wanted to say it. There was a lot of heat on social media. The presumably Gen Z, I'm assuming they were teenagers watching the show when it aired, that were furious that their studio was taken from them. And they were going on and on about how it was like, you mean to tell me that Lydia just left him because she was scared? The same Lydia who was the only one that remembered him, like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm like, tell me you're not pushing 40 without telling me because
I think it's like it's so beautiful and heartbreaking because she forwent her own happiness
also,
to ensure he lived.
I don't know if people understand how brave and foolhardy young people are.
Oh my god, totally. Y'all think you're immortal and it's not the case.
And to me, it's very Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi, where people are like, he's the hero, and how dare? And I'm like, oh, you don't understand what age, what fear, what the mundane in and out of life.
I would leave behind nothing but my billowing cloak too if I saw all the mistakes of my past happening exactly the same way in front of me.
But for me, it's like that. Absolutely. And especially for someone like Lydia, with what all they went through in a 4-year span.
I think she would rather save everyone the pain. If she could.
That was the single most authentic part of the movie for me.
It was
and
perfect.
To have some people using that as why the movie was cheap and didn't make sense.
No, I loved it.
You don't understand.
Also,
adult emotions.
Your frontal lobe is clearly not finished developing. But the thing for me too is that it perfectly made sense, and it did the best it could with the knowledge that Dylan O'Brien was not coming back for the movie. They did what they had to write his existence out of this movie, because otherwise, he would have been right next to Scott the whole time.
This is a very, very bold comparison, but it just sort of reminded me of that SNL skit after the election when Chris Rock was just like, "Oh, is this your first time not getting what you didn't get what you wanted?
Oh, you're surprised. Oh no!"
And it gives me that kind of like, I'm like, I am grateful.
Yeah,
like
I think it's fine, and I think it actually was like an okay, because you can also imagine that Styles would have been so devastated by the breakup that he would have stayed away from Beacon Hills.
He would have internalized.
Anyway,
he would have blamed
100%.
himself.
Yeah.
And
he's currently living the plot of American Assassin. That's where he is. He threw it all away. He's going all the way into work.
I also cackled. Like, I have never cackled before at the Mr. Harris reveal.
Oh my god.
I got there like 10 seconds before.
Yeah.
And the reason is because Mr. Harris is such a character, like such a presence in the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I remember when they killed him, I was like, oh God. And it always just felt like, it felt rude. I mean, he was horrible. He was awful. But there was something about it that felt incomplete to me.
I do think it's really funny that there's like so many adults running around that are like, this teenage girl ruined my life.
And just the small mercy that it wasn't Grandpa or Kate.
Argent, yeah. If Jill Wagner had fucking been in this movie.
I love both Jill Wagner and Kate, but let's be honest.
I might have been coming down on the negative side if they had managed to fucking squish Kate in here.
And I thought that stupid college lacrosse field, I thought it was so dumb, especially when Eli just like bamfed into the middle of it and no one noticed or cared.
The fucking Nogitsune was like, I'm gonna put a piece back on the board. And then I was like, right in the middle of the game? Right in the middle of the field! And then he almost got trampled to death.
I thought it was so funny. Easily top 3 favorite moments was that insane Pride Rock shot that they came back to like 3 times.
4 times. Yeah, too many times.
Oh my god. That, if you look up the word audacity in the dictionary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a wonderful
Me too.
time.
I guess we gotta pour one out.
I like saw all these takes about how like disgusting and offensive it is that Derek Hale was killed in a fire, considering the Hale fire and like all of that. And I'm sort of like,
That's
oh,
called
do you not understand
poetic irony.
irony? Like, do you not understand poetic justice?
What's the Girl Scout thing? The circle has no end or whatever. There's like a little song about it. I don't know what to tell you.
And
that is called like cyclical poetic irony.
well, and so apparently I'm because I'm an idiot. Because we were like, what, did his eyes turn red? They did, because it's the true alpha thing.
Oh, he
So
made like
Derek
an ultimate
that
sacrifice.
died
So now
technically as a true alpha.
So
But again, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
not like this is disgusting and offensive, and I am calling my psychiatrist.
some things are not offensive. They're not supposed to make you feel good.
Do you remember this thing that this character did was problematic? Yeah. It's because it was a problem.
That's a problem. Did you see?
And the story is going to have
Did you
to
see how the
overcome.
rest of the episode was like dealing with the consequences of that action?
Tumblr did a lot of great things, but much like Jeff Davis, give it and take it.
I tell you what, that did not even ping anything. I was like, he died in a fire. What? And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess sort of, but he wasn't burned to death by accident in his own home. So I think
Or like
it's
Kate
different.
didn't burn. Where they were bending over backwards to make it like an abuser, like abusive. I don't know. I was like, I'm sorry that your werewolf character. No,
It's just a perfect circle. I'm baffled. I can't with that.
I'm a little bit sad because much like many of the other characters on Teen Wolf, where it was like Derek got to this place in the show and then just left the show.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of
A
him
nice send off.
back, and I
There's
was very
also-
settled in where he was here, and so to lose him, it's like, oh.
If
But
there's more movies, there's no like guarantee he's not coming back.
I don't think Tyler Eklund's coming back.
I mean, he's getting that sweet, sweet Superman money now.
Is he?
But
I thought that's on the chopping block.
oh, I don't know.
This
He
whole
was getting.
DC thing.
Oh, I don't know. I think the CW stuff is like far enough.
No, I know,
removed.
but I think that the new CEO of such and such is like one of those lion pack clean house things. I'm honestly surprised that he survived the fucking arrow to the throat. That was intense.
So intense. I thought we were gonna lose him right
Yeah.
there on the ground of the school.
Yeah,
God, what a bummer for Derek to die in the halls of Beacon Hills High.
that would have been more offensive than the fire.
Way more offensive.
I like the coach stuff. I
like the coach stuff. I loved all the Peter stuff. I love that he still has this like weird tension with Melissa every time they interact. You know, in the back of her mind, she's like, "You never bought me dinner."
You were like, sir, you owe her a spaghetti dinner
Right now.
And their funeral clothes were also so great. It was like,
It was like Pretty Little Liars. None
Oh.
of them were dressed like they were going to the same event. Lydia was completely tits out. It was insane. And Scott was still wearing a Henley, just a black one.
I thought they looked fierce.
I'm not saying they didn't look fierce. I'm saying it was crazy.
I was gonna compare it to Endgame, but yours is more apt.
Mine is way more apt.
I tell you. There's honestly more round of applause for J.R. Bourne, Melissa Ponzio, and
Lyndon Ashby.
Lyndon Ashby. And that's as good a place as any to stop.
Yeah, I liked it.
I think Rachel and I are going to watch it, so potentially be on the lookout for a proper reaction. Like I said, we filmed our reaction. It's on the Patreon. I don't know if I'm going to edit it. I am up to here with edits at the moment, and
It
so
can always come out way later, but
I don't know if we get like
20 more patrons.
Then I'll edit and release the movie.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And also, no offense, if you didn't like it, that's totally
No, it's
fine.
whatever.
It was not,
Yeah.
I mean, it's dumb. And also, I am totally fine with, like, liking characters and shipping and all that stuff. I'm just saying it shouldn't control your life the way some of these people.
The only reason I have any kind of, why I even would ever want Styles and Lydia to be together is just because Dylan and Holland have such good chemistry. I just want to watch them interact forever. But that can also be as just friends for me. I like them together and I prefer them over almost any other ship in the show, but I like never really got into it for Teen Wolf. Not the way I have for like other properties I've watched, Buffy specifically.
So, on that note, thanks for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up does the best. If you don't like it, you are fine to move along. You don't need to, like,
you don't need to
do
tell
the
us.
whole thing. We don't care.
And if you start telling us how offensive you thought certain things were, I can guarantee you we don't care.
That's a good note to end on.
Bye!